In this video I will be going through an explosive power workout with a Swedish national championship level amateur boxer named Max Englund. He obviously has his fundamentals in boxing, he's been doing this for a couple of years, so it's probably a good idea for him to incorporate some explosive power workouts to aid him, whether that would be for change of direction, punching power, or just general speed or athleticism. And I mean, this kid is just 20 years old, so this is a perfect time for him to start incorporating some power training as a supplement to his boxing, now especially that he has all the fundamentals in boxing. Because power takes a lot of time to develop. The training method that we will be using in this session is called Plyometrics, which is an explosive power development method that has been used since the 50s by the Soviets. And I mean, for boxing it will increase your punching power, you will translate all of that strength you have into usable speed. We have both lower body and upper body plyometrics, and they are both equally important because, for example, when it comes to punching power, you need to be able to use your legs as well as your upper body to generate power. They are both equally important. So we need to address those areas. If you're gonna do a plyometric workout, you need to make sure that your body is properly warmed up, because plyometrics puts a lot of stress into your joints and the knees especially. I won't go into this too much, but just warm up your whole body. Do some dynamic stretching and some jumping ropes to warm up those ankles. What we did was just exactly that. Doesn't have to be too long, I mean 10 to 15 minutes is enough, just make sure that you're properly warmed up. So first off, we have just a standard box jump, 5 repetitions as explosively and fast as you can. Each repetition has to be done with maximal intention. The purpose of this exercise is to develop your lower body power, and as you can see, before each jump he takes a big step and spends as little time as he can in the ground, and that is because he wants to use elastic energy, the stretch shortening cycle it's called. Make sure your body is completely extended before you land, and try to land as quietly as you can. Otherwise your knees might take a lot of damage. It's so important that you do each repetition as explosively as you can. If you don't do this, the exercise will be useless. Now I don't want to drop any names, but there is a lot of coaches out there that don't stress this point enough. I mean, it makes me cringe. How do you expect to become explosive if you're not training your athletes explosively? It makes zero sense. Immediately when you're done with the box jumps, we will go over to the medicine ball and start doing some side throws, 10 repetitions on each side. The purpose of this exercise is rotational power development, which is extremely specific to boxing. Once again, do them with maximal intention, as fast as you can, as hard as you can. Try to break the wall as far as I'm concerned, like seriously, I cannot stress this point enough. Train explosively if you want to become explosive. Those exercises can be tricky if you're doing them for the first time, so do some testing rounds first if you want before starting for real. Make sure you're in a good position, balanced, and rotate your hips explosively especially. It's all in the hips in this exercise. And just release the ball with your arms. Think of the same principle as a hook, but a little more exaggerated hip rotation, I would say, because we want to develop hip rotational power. And the weight of the ball, it doesn't need to be heavy actually, like 3 or 4 kilograms is enough. It needs to be light enough for you to use maximal velocity. If it's too heavy, you will not train your speed as much as you want to. And make sure it's one of those medicine balls that are non-bouncing, because you don't want to hit yourself in the face with the ball when it bounces back, right? So use one of those non-bouncing functional balls, or whatever you want to call them. Mycket bra. Ännu hårdare. Så ja, exakt. Där har vi det. Tänk så där. Next up we have our hurdle jumps. You want to perform 5 continuous repetitions, and the key here will be to, in each jump you want to spend as much time as you can in the air, because that is a sign that you use a lot of power. And also when you land, spend minimal time on the ground. Like, this will enable you to use this stretch reflex that we talked about, the stretch shortening cycle, which is just fancy vocabulary for elastic energy. And directly after that we will go over to the medicine ball again in the same set. This is called the medicine ball punch, and 10 repetitions on each side again. Imagine you want to break the freaking wall with this exercise. It should be as explosive as you possibly can. You should understand this by now. How is this different from the previous one? Well, it's the same principle. It's just more boxing specific because you begin from a high guard, so to speak. You should transfer your whole body weight into this punch, like legs, hips, everything. And this guy is so freaking strong, he even destroyed something there on the wall. But yeah, you get my point, right? Do this sequence for 2 sets. Next up we have the skater bounce. I want you to do 5 on each leg, so 10 total. This will develop your power in a more horizontal plane, and it will emphasize each leg specifically at a time. You want to cover as much distance as you can and spend as much time in the air as possible, like do them as quickly and explosively as you can. 5 on each leg, 10 total. Why is this useful for boxing, you may ask? Well, it will help you to transfer weight from one part of the body to another, from one leg to the other. And it will therefore develop power in that specific plane. Immediately after you're done with the skater bounce, we will go over to the medicine ball again and do some overhead tosses, 10 repetitions. Basically bend down, grab the ball, and throw it overhead backwards, extending your whole body. It is like a jump and a throw at the same time, this exercise. It will train your triple extension, which is power development in the ankles, hips, and knees, while also using your upper body to throw it backwards. So it's total body power development. Now optimally I would like to see him extend a little bit more, maybe get on his toes and even throw the ball a little bit higher. But I mean, this is a skill set. It will take time to develop, and I mean, we have to start somewhere, so it will do for now. He will get better, we will work on it. Once you're finished, rest for 2 to 3 minutes and repeat the sequence again. As you've noticed, we repeat each sequence for 2 sets. Next up we will do 5 continuous bro jumps, lower body power development, once again horizontal power. Bend down and jump as far and high as you can. You need to jump both high and far. Use the stretch shortening cycle and do them continuously. Many of those jumping exercises, they can be very taxing to your knees. Remember, this boxer, he has a strength base, he has experience in lifting, so you need to have a good strength base before starting plyometrics. Next up we have the rotational medicine ball slam, and this will work on, once again, rotational power but more in a downwards angle. You can do 10 reps with 5 on each side. I want you to get up on your toes, extend your whole body, draw a circle with the ball, and then rotate with your whole body and slam it on the ground as hard as you possibly can. This boxer, he is relatively strong, but what we want to do is to make his strength usable, and that's what those exercises are for. They will convert his strength into usable speed for boxing in different planes. Now we're gonna go over to a little more boxing specific power development, and if you do this correctly, this will be a hell on earth. We're gonna do 8 sets of 20 seconds on the heavy bag, and during those 20 seconds you're gonna throw selective punches and just use as much power as you possibly can. Like, imagine this heavy bag is your worst enemy of all time. Like, you need to put 1000% effort into those punches, and each and every one of them during those 20 seconds. If you do this correctly, it will be tough. 8 sets, rest for 2 to 3 minutes between. And for those of you wondering why we rest 2 to 3 minutes, it's because we want to use our most powerful energy system in our body. It's called the ATP-PC system, those fast twitch muscle fibers. And in order for this system to recover, you need 2 to 3 minutes rest. And if you don't feel exhausted after those 20 seconds, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. Like, that's the truth of it.
kör! 10 kvar!
10 kvar, kom in! Kom igen!
And finally, we decided to end with some accessory exercises to strengthen those muscles around the knee. Once again, plyometrics can be very stressful to your knee joints, so you can just throw in a unilateral leg exercise at the end like this. You have lunges, Bulgarian split squats, single leg squats. The options are endless, just one of them. Strengthen the muscles around the knees. You don't have to go bananas on this, like 4 sets is enough, 3 or 4 sets, 8 reps on each leg with a suitable weight, one that doesn't feel too heavy or too light. For this particular session we chose to go with the Bulgarian split squats, which is an excellent alternative. And also you can throw in some core work at the end as well, like just a circuit of some core exercises like sit-ups, the plank, whatever you want.